Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the challenges and triumph of online teaching during COVID-19 at the Female Educators Roundtable with your host, Debby Enoe from Teacher Success Coach, and another of my guests from around the world, Lisa. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us where you come from, tell us the school, the age group you teach in, the age group you teach, etc. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, my name's Lisa Laster, and I teach at a public online school in Texas, out of Houston, called Texas Connections Academy. And I've been there for 6 years, and I teach 6th through 8th grade. And that would be 12 years old to around 14, 15. And I'm a math interventionist. So what I do is help students who struggle in math. That's kind of my job. And I've been there for about 6 years, but I've been teaching for around 20.
Okay. Thank you. It's fantastic to see in terms of maths, because not everybody like maths. And that also has to do with the dislike of maths in terms of how it was delivered to them when they were younger. You know, because if they actually were able to embrace maths when they're younger, when they're older, then it becomes, something they really love. But anytime something is introduced to us when we're young and it was not introduced in a positive way, as we become older, it becomes our enemy. We tend not to like it. So that's really nice. Okay. Thank you for coming onto the platform. Yeah. And to take the opportunity to tell us about your experience teaching online and some of the challenges and some of the triumphs. Yes, there are challenges, and yes, there are lots of triumphs, because it is something that we have not been used to and something we now have to embrace, and something a lot of us are beginning to love, because I really do love the experience from the online platform and what I'm now able to take into the physical classroom. As much as it has been a challenge and it has been painful, it has been up all night situation, but there have been lots and lots and lots of positive, and some of it in terms of learning new skills, which if we did not have this situation, a lot of us, speaking about myself as well, a lot of us educators would not have readily go and learn the online platform, because we were thought that there is no need for that. But the fact that we were pushed in a corner, we had no choice than to sink or swim. And as educators, we will not sink, we'll always swim. So we've actually done that, and we've done that very, very well. It doesn't matter what the press is saying about us, that we walk shy and who we think we are, we don't want to go back. Really, we, like everybody else, we're human beings as well. We have fears, we have anxieties, we have concern about this virus. So we're no different from anybody out there. The only difference is we are educators who impact knowledge, but we also have fears as well. Right, Lisa, would you tell us about your experience in terms of online teaching, the challenges, the triumph, lovely, the triumph, and how it was like in relationship to the students?
Yeah, I will say, I've taught in brick and mortar and I've taught online. And I will say, and this is going to sound odd, but my relationships with my students are more intact online than they were in brick and mortar. And that's interesting. And the teachers who are new to online, because I'm not new to it, may think, oh, no way, that's not possible. Let me tell you it is, because what happens is the relationship between a teacher and a student online is totally different. We have done a 180 turn on this, because when I talk to students, I say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? What's in your life? I have this more one-on-one talk with them. And I did it before because they were all together. Now they're a little bit separated, because they call me and say, hey, Miss Laster, can you help me with this? And I'm like, yeah, let me help you. Well, how's it going? What's it going on in your life? What are you doing? And so I have this relationship, and the kids, there's no such thing as yelling at a kid online. I don't do that. I'm full of kindness. All of the teachers that I work with are full of kindness. So the students at first they're like, wait a minute, this woman is talking to me like I'm a normal person. But it's true. That's what we do now. And so it is really weird when we get new students because they're like, I'm not talking to that teacher. She's, way up here. We do want the respect. You do need to call me Mrs. Laster. I mean, I do want that. I am your teacher. But at the same token, I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, listen, Ella, whoever, whatever name, you are not doing your work. You know that you must do this to finish. You're not passing. What can I do to help you? I need to give these kids grace. We need to give these kids grace. We don't want to yell at them, reprimand them. We just want to say, hey, you need to do what you need to do, because the bottom line is you're not going to pass this course. And at the end of the day, they really aren't. There's not going to be any passing of it. They are going to do that on their own. And so that relationship is very, much better than I have ever seen. And I wouldn't have thought that either. But once the teachers start getting and talking to the kids, they're going to get to know them more so than they ever have.
That's interesting. It's really interesting because, the fact that, yes, I know online we have a different relationship with the students, but the interesting thing that you pointed out is the one-to-one session, which is so very true, because you automatically have a one-to-one session with them. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, that is so interesting, because in the classroom you don't, and I think as much as we rush on the online system, I think we also have a little bit more time. I'm not too sure how, but I just feel that we have a little bit more time with the students. It appears like that to me. Have you seen that?
Yes, I interact a lot with my students, but there's a lot more phone calls than, let's say, live with the kids. Like I have for a class, I might have one live lesson per week where I teach them, what I feel that they need to learn for the week. Now our system is, we're very lucky because our system is a planner and they can just click on the lesson. The curriculum is done. It's not anything I have to do. Whereas brick and mortar, the ISDs, they are actually going in there, probably developing that. It's all developed for us. So what I do is I look at the curriculum, make sure it is based in Texas, it's everything. And then I look at what are the kids gonna have a problem with? Okay. What are they gonna struggle with? And that's what I teach them. And then they can get me anytime they need. We have a system where they can email me or whatever, and they can say, oh, I need help with this, or they can just get on the phone and call me anytime. And that's what is unusual about brick and mortar. A kid would have never called you as a teacher. Never. You wouldn't have answered the phone.
Exactly. What are you
calling me for?
Exactly.
This is my personal life. But really, and I have hours just like teachers, 8 to 4. But the kids are there and they're talking to me, and I'm there to help them. And the only thing is the parents, they have the parents that I deal with are parents that want to be involved in their children's education. Okay. And so this is where I think the big issue is right now. The brick and mortar parents, sometimes they're like, oh no, that's your job. I want you to do it. Well, we need to teach parents, hey, come with me, work with me. I am here for your child. If you don't understand the math, I get it. Or you don't understand whatever, that's okay. They have my number. They can call me. I do recordings for parents and students. I call them TMTs. They're 10-minute tips. So everything that I know. It's something I've developed, but every kid in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they get it. Because guess what? A kid will watch a 10-minute video, won't they?
Yeah.
But will they watch an hour?
No.
Maybe not.
No.
Okay. So what I do is I physically, in there in those videos, I'm teaching them the concept. And so I get a lot of feedback from parents saying, oh my goodness, I love your TMTs. I have learned order of operation. I have learned how to add fractions. I have learned, how to define the slope, all those things, because that's what I'm giving a service. I'm teaching them. So it's my job to teach your child. Bottom line. But I need you as a parent to look at the work. Are they doing what they're supposed to do? It's kind of like homework at night. Are you, even if you're not with the child during the day, at night you can come home, see what they submitted,
Exactly.
look over it.
Yeah.
And we can partner together. And that's what we're wanting from parents.
Yeah. I totally agree, and I get that. Because our work would be so much easier if we actually have the partnership with the parents. And something you say which is so important and so interesting. Parents seem to feel that, okay, this is your job, here you are, get on with it. But it is our job up to a point.
Right.
We could do so much. We need your input to support your child, to make sure that, as you said, Lisa, your child have done the work.
Right. And we're not there with them. We're through a computer screen. And you know what? I look at the grades and I'll pick up the phone and I'll call the kid, hey, what's going on? I see you haven't logged in 2 days or 3 days, a week, whatever. This is a problem. What are you going to do about it? Or I might say, I noticed you had a 55 in math. What are you going to do about it? What can I do to help you? As teachers, we need to show them grace, parents and kids. Okay, these are children. Even though they're in middle school and they're a teenager, they're still children that need to be pushed a little, right?
Yeah.
And so we can't just sit back and say, oh, well, they got a 0, they didn't turn it in. No, we can't do that. We've got to contact them, take a little bit of time, whether it's just an hour a day or 30 minutes a day, and look at those grades and contact those kids that just are struggling.
That's very true.
You will see the grades go up with the kids. When you're when parents think you care about their children, they're going to do everything. But the kids are going to do more for you. When you have a relationship with a kid, they're going to do everything they're going to do everything they can to make you proud of them. And that's a fact. They just will.
Yes, it is very true, and they're also eager to please you. That's so
right.
very true.
Even if they're in high school or middle school, they still want you to be proud of them, and they want their parent to be proud of them.
Yeah, it is very true.
Sometimes some of them are a little lost, they're a little, they are a little lost. And, we have a lot of mental illness in this country, and we have a lot of, we have a lot of issues. And I see a lot of that, with the younger the middle school, high school kids, they are struggling. So we need to ask them, how are you doing today?
And especially more so now that we know a lot of them are having so many challenges. In terms of behavior, you don't have much behavior issue online.
No, of course there's a button you can click to remove. The worst thing I've ever seen is, what we call spamming. Kids in the chat, they know how to make it scroll, and I'll say, that's not allowed. Am I going to have to, don't do that again, or you'll have to be removed. I've never removed anyone.
Okay.
They don't. In fact, this is interesting. The kids monitor it. The other kids are like, you need to stay on so the teacher can teach. You need to quit spamming, or you need to quit chatting. Okay, stop the chatting, y'all. And these are kids telling them, middle school kids, 13, 14-year-olds saying, y'all, I'm trying to learn. Y'all need to stop. So I think with time, that's what happens when kids are online. Within a few years, they get the clue that, hey, let's get through this so I can go and do what I need to do and finish my day.
Yeah. That's very true. So how many hours do you teach them per day online?
I teach, well, because I'm an interventionist, I only teach small groups. Okay. So I usually have around 100, but I try to keep all of my classes around 10-ish. So I teach a lot of multiple. So like I may have 3 classes in the 6th grade, 3 classes in the 7th grade, and 3 classes in the 8th grade. And so if a kid misses it, I'll send them a webmail, because we have a system, not email, but our system is where they log in, and it's a secured system. No one can get in it but us. So I will do that, and they're fine.
Okay. Do you find that students work better online in terms of turning in the work, etc.?
I think that, for our school, we have a lot of career students, actors, gymnasts, rodeo people. Okay. We have that in, and so they have to be in the gym 6 hours a day. So they're very motivated. Okay. I have the other end too of kids who have been in the public school and been bullied, lots of bullied. So they come to our school and they want to start, and they're motivated too. They're motivated because finally they feel free, that no one is going to tease them, no one's going to hurt them. There's just not that happening at our school. So they're motivated. And we have kids who don't want to work. And I tell the parents, this school is not for everyone. You have to be engaged as a parent. You have to be engaged as a student. And I would have said, I hear a lot of you say this online doesn't work. Well, it does work, but you know what? You had convinced me that it doesn't work for every kid. We do need some kids that really need that face-to-face. But when we can't have it, it's still a good option. But I know a lot of kids that it really works for. So I think the future is choice. Watch, it's choice. It's going to be choice.
I totally agree with you.
Whether we have a pandemic or not, I think that there's going to be a choice.
And
maybe that'll make our classrooms in brick and mortar smaller. Less students, and that's only going to benefit those kids.
It is very true. I do feel that now that we actually have been forced to learn these new skills and we see the power of online teaching, I do feel this is the way education is going to go. There is no way we can actually go backwards.
Correct.
Because as I keep saying, in all industry, there have been a shift in technology except the education sector. So that's the sad thing about it. And this pandemic have actually forced the education sector to look at alternative other than the physical classroom. And as you rightly say, which is very true, it's going to make classrooms smaller if we exercise the option and give students what they need instead of what we think they need.
Right.
Because what I've actually seen on the online platform, as much as when we're in the physical classroom, we actually exercise differentiation, on the platform, we have been forced even more so to differentiate because the students are making choices.
Right. Yes. There is more differentiation, definitely. Because when you're working one-on-one, you're like, okay, well, this kid needs help with fractions and this student needs help with order of operation or graphing or whatever. So yeah, I mean, we are doing that, and we're using more videos and more visual cues and more visual things. Teachers are making videos to help the students as they go through, just like things that I've done. And then the live lessons, are important too. That, gives them a chance to connect with other kids.
Yeah, it's really the other thing. Thank you. The other thing this online platform have actually taught us as educators, it have actually forced us to be innovative and creative. Because as much as we thought we were creative in the classroom, or we were innovative in the classroom, we couldn't take what from the classroom into the physical, into the visual space. We had to revamp our lessons. As a result of that, we had to be more creative and we had to be more innovative, because just talking to them wasn't enough. So that's something I actually feel that's a new skill that we've actually learned. Because some educators have been saying to me that they had to rechange the whole lesson because it wasn't working on the online platform. And the way we actually expect students to present their work to us, we have to think differently, because not every child is able to do it in, just write you an essay. They present it on a different format.
And you are right, because from brick and mortar to online, when I do teach differently. I do. I teach in a whole different way. And I think that some teachers are trying to still use whatever they normally would teach in class and just put it online. And they're going to find out that they're going to have to revamp that a little bit. It's not because it's so physical. It can't be as physical, but we have, document cameras where I show them with manipulatives. There's still a lot I can do that I did in the brick and mortar because we have so much technology.
It is so very, very true in terms of what we could do. That's one of the reasons why I say there's no way we could go back from where we come from. We have to actually move forward, because we realize the power of the online platform. I certainly have. We used to use Google Classroom, but I didn't realize the mass things that Google Classroom can do. And now using Zoom, etc., you now realize what is possible. Your lessons take on a new different life.
And we just need to convince parents, not convince them. We just have to prove to them this is possible. I mean, our parents believe us. We have total engagement from the parents. Mostly, for the most part. Most of the parents are there because they want to homeschool their kids sometimes, but then they don't want to find all the curriculum because they don't feel that that they don't have a teaching degree, and they want the professional to do that. So they get kind of both worlds, they get, everything. They get to be with their child and they get to see what they're learning now. And, the biggest thing they say is, oh my goodness, I did not learn that. What you're learning in 8th grade, I learned as a senior. And that is true. That is true.
It's also showing us what the online platform is able to do, which is fantastic. I also feel that
it's amazing.
Sorry?
It's amazing what and our kids are so ready for college, because remember, our platform is just like college, because in the United States, they use what they call Blackboard. Well, you know, with discussions and things, and we have discussions where the kids go in and you ask them a question and they type in what their thoughts. And that's the exact same thing you do when you enter college. And so the kids are more ready for college.
That's interesting. Do you feel that the online platform give them independence, and how much?
Yeah, it gives them a lot of independence because they are sometimes teaching themselves. They are learning how to learn, because there's no way as a teacher I can teach every single lesson like you did in brick and mortar. It's not possible. So, you know, we have slides and videos, you know, and if the kids don't learn through that, then they can go at the end of the lesson, they can go before they take a little quiz, they can go and talk to their teacher. But yes, they are learning independence through learning those lessons by reading them, watching a video, going through them, looking at those step to step, and then they practice them through, you know, online interactive tools throughout the lesson. And so with math, they must practice it. So they can't just watch it. It's about doing, not about always listening. And that's why it's successful, is they're going through that, and they're learning to teach themselves. And that's what you have to do in college, right? Isn't it very independent when you do a college course? So that's what they're doing online, and they don't do every lesson, but when they know a concept, then they can go to the next one, go, oh, I can do this one, and the next one, and the next one.
So online definitely teaches, you know, some students to be independent, which is quite good, because in the physical classroom, the student expect you to do everything for them.
Right.
Which is quite, you know, a sad thing. In terms of attendance, what has been the issue with attendance, especially now during the COVID period?
Well, we have a requirement at our school that the kids must attend 25 hours per week. That's a minimum.
Okay.
But most of them attend more. And we actually have an attendance where the parents go in and put the attendance in. So that's kind of their job. And so I look, like my homeroom, I'll look at the kids. If I see their parents have put all these hours in, but there's no work, well, that's really not appropriate. So our rule of thumb is for every lesson, you can have an hour of attendance. So if you use 6 hours and you only got 5 lessons, that's okay. But you know, if you say you worked 9 hours that day and you didn't do anything, I'm going to have to change your attendance. And that goes into truancy.
Okay.
You can't, you have to be at our school, you have to attend.
Okay.
So that's how we do attendance.
Okay. Thank you. And in terms of engagement, because the students want to be there, you think that engagement is higher?
Yes, the engagement is high. Because we are a choice school. We are a school that the kids want to be there, or the parents want them there. And you know, we have a few kids that, well, I'm a few days late on my assignments, you know, this and that. And you know, we just call them and call the parent and say, hey, you know, how can I help you? That's my first question to them. How can I help you, or how can I help your child? I'm not going to call you and say, this is unacceptable that you're not doing this work. I'm not going to do that. Okay? You get more flies with honey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to give out your honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Lisa. Very true.
Don't give kids vinegar, give them honey.
Yes. And then they come to it, right? Oh my goodness. The carrot and the stick. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Very, very true. Very, very true. You know, teaching online, you have to think of so many different strategies.
You do. And you get better and better and better as you do it. Because this will be my 7th year doing this. So I
Okay.
feel I'm up there. I mean, I get a lot of, teachers asking me questions, what would you do here and here and,
Yeah.
and I give them the advice that I think that they should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
there's a few schools out there that just, I don't think they thought this out. They're going to try to live stream school, which
Mm.
makes no sense to me. I don't even think you can do that because of FERA. I don't think you can't live stream it like that all day long. You can't expect a kid to be sitting there watching you as you're teaching your brick and mortar kids. That's just not going to work. And they're going to find that out. It's not going to work. But what they can do is they can go on, teach a lesson and say, hey, y'all go do your independent work, turn it in, and I'll meet you back here at 1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they need breaks.
Yeah.
They need breaks.
Yeah. 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 You see, that is something a lot of the schools had not realized. I understand that it was pushed onto us, etc. But I also feel a lot of the schools needed the teachers to have more autonomy, because one of the problem is you cannot expect, as you rightly say, to teach in the physical classroom the same way you teach on the online platform. Because in the physical classroom, we teaching constantly. There's no way you could do that on the visual classroom. It doesn't work because too much in terms of the screen, and students get fidgety and they can't sit there for long.
Right.
And that have not been thought of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they will learn in time that how this is gonna have to work, and the school districts have been working all year long. I mean, all summer long, and parents I'll hear some parents on Facebook say it didn't work in the spring, so it's not gonna work in the fall. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You're right, it didn't work in the spring very well, but no one knew what they were doing at that time.
Exactly.
But they've been working all summer long to get this. And they got the expectations. You will sign on. You don't have a choice as a student. You will sign on. They're, in my state, most districts are given, a computer, or whatever, a laptop, or, an iPad, something, a Chromebook, something where the kids, and even internet when you don't have it. So there's, they're not leaving a lot of leeway. So they need to be logging on and getting that work done. And yes, there are some kids that are going to get this done quicker. Okay? Because kids work at different paces.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So you might have a kid that could finish their all day work in 4 hours. You might have another kid that's going to take them it's going to be like some extra homework time. But remember, teachers may be here 8 to 4, but that doesn't mean students can't be working with their parents at night.
Exactly.
This is a 24-hour thing. We're not locking them out of the system.
That's true. That's very true. And it's interesting, are you saying that some parents are saying that, the online system didn't work? No, it didn't work because we had no training, we didn't know what we were doing, etc. But we've actually learned the process, so therefore we know what not to do for when we actually go online now. Because I saw when we actually went online during the COVID time, that was a practice run. It's like when you pass your driving test, you don't even know how to drive. The first month or so, you're practicing, you're trying to get things right. That's the same situation in terms of the initial, going online. That was a practice run for us. We didn't even know what to do. You didn't even know how to use the blackboard. You didn't even know how to share your screen. Now you have perfected that. You know how to share the screen. You know how to, to erase things when students write on the screen, because you've learned that. So there is no way the second time around that this online platform wouldn't work. It would definitely work because you now know what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the school districts around me have expectation for the students. Listen, we have to have high expectations for students. You can't just say, well, hopefully you'll log in. Well, no, you have to. You can't just, they can't just lose instruction like that. They've got to log in. They've got to do their work. They've got to continue learning.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you're actually in the physical classroom, as I was saying to an educator yesterday, you actually, the first thing I do when I get into my classroom, the first, semester, the first day, we actually devise ground rules or expectations. So therefore, that's exactly what we do. I don't do it. That's for you to do as students because you know what you expect from me and from each other. So that's the first thing we do. So therefore, when we go on the in the online platform, that is what we need to establish as well. Or else we're going to find we have a situation where we haven't told the student the expectation, so they don't know what to do. They're doing what they feel they want to do.
Right. Exactly.
So that is something I feel that's one of the first things for me. I feel that the same way we establish that in the physical classroom, we need to make sure we have the expectation on the online classroom.
Exactly. You do. That's the first thing you do. That's exactly right. You talk to the kids. Here's the expectations. And the thing for online is one thing, no spamming, because that's going to be the first thing. They think it's funny because, they're the class clowns and they're like, and they figured out how it can just go on and on and on, so they they're not allowed to do that, but they're going to try. But a lot of times I go, they'll just sit there and chat, and I say, y'all know you can't chat when I'm talking. I'll give you time at the end to chat. And I said, you know what? I'm going to have to take the chat away because I can just remove that chat, and they won't have it. And then in our system, I have a chat that I can keep up, and the chat only goes to me.
Okay. Okay.
So that's nice where they can only talk to me. But, usually I just warn them like, okay, I'm going to take the chat away. I'm like, no, please, no.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have taken the chat away. And then I'll keep the other one up because I call it, I think of it as like a little secret chat. It's called a Q&A, question and answer, but it only goes to me. And then I can reply back in the chat to the student.
Okay.
But no one sees that. So like if a child is or a student is embarrassed that they don't know how to add fractions, they can say, can you go back and do that question again? And that's a good thing about this. Remember,
yes,
kids, when they are live in a classroom, they can say, wait a minute, that question you just did, I don't know how you got the answer of 5. Go back. So I'll just go back on my PowerPoint, and then we will go over that again. And there's been times I had to go over it 3 and 4 times because maybe a student just didn't get it. And I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to find a new way to do it until each one of them gets it. It really helps, and they learn more because you can basically stop what you're doing and going back.
Yeah.
You didn't do that when you were in the classroom with 30 kids.
Yeah. It is true. It is so very true because also on the online platform, some of the students who would normally feel embarrassed to actually ask you to, because they feel that, they're not good enough or failure, etc. They will actually do write in the private chat and say, okay, can you explain that? Yeah, it is so very true.
Yep. They do that.
Yeah. Because as we know in the physical classroom, students feel, although they're all, let's say half of the class may not understand what you said, but nobody's going to put their hand up, right? To say, I don't understand.
But they all have the same question. They all pretty much, but they don't want, middle school kids have a really big fear of feeling dumb. And I'm going to use that word dumb because that's the word they would use. They are deathly afraid that someone in that room is going to think they're not smart. They're deathly afraid of it. To where it gives them anxiety like nothing else. And with the private chat, I will never say who it is. I'll say, well, someone just asked me a question, so let's talk about it. And I'll talk about it and tell what the answer is or how I got it. So when I get those private chats, a lot of times I don't respond back to them. I verbally respond, hey, here came a question. Let's look at this. And then other kids will go, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, good. I'm glad, So see, they all have, a lot of them have the same kind of question. And that's a good way. If you have a system that there is a private chat, that's a good way to do that.
You see, and that's one of the plus of the online platform, right? Because it actually empowered the students in terms of, making them ask the question without feeling that they're dumb or they feel that they're not good enough and other people are going to say something, because they could do that quite happily without knowing, the rest of the class knowing who it is. So that's, that's a good thing in terms of the online platform. In terms of self-care, how have you made self-care a priority online?
I'm not one of these 8 to 4 teachers. I do whatever I do what I need to do, but I'm kind of a workaholic. So I love teaching so much, and I am blessed to have these kids in my life. I am honored that these are my students, and I make sure that they know that I am very honored that they're going to remember me one day. Not all of them, but some of them, they're going to talk about me to their children. And, I did notice, because when you're doing online, you sit down more. And I'm not young because I've been teaching 20 years. So I noticed when I get up, I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts. So one thing I do is I try to stand up, walk in the kitchen or whatever, because I do teach from home. Just walk for 5 minutes and then come back. And that gives me my body, so my bones aren't popping and creaking and And our school says y'all need to unplug. So I try to unplug. I have, most of my children are grown. I still have a senior and a 12th grader in high school. So we just hang out on the weekend and do stuff, and so I feel that I take care of myself fine. I think that there's a big, huge jump with teachers. Some teachers are like me. Some teachers want to work 8 to 4 and not one, they don't want to work after that. But for the most part, teachers will work whatever it takes to get that grading done, or whatever it takes to get all that done. But, and I'm willing to do the extra work, but I want my administrator to realize I'm doing that extra.
Yes.
I want you to just assume that that's what I should do, because I should only work till 4. But if I do something later, you need to appreciate that. And that's what teachers want. They want appreciation.
Yes, I totally agree with you there, because what's happening is it become an expectation.
Yes.
And that is what's sad, and that's what actually gets most, if not all, educators, because the lack of appreciation and the expectation as, because you're a teacher, you are supposed to. And I think that's what we have in the issues in relationship to the media and in terms of politicians, etc. They have this expectation as educators, we are supposed to, forgetting that we are human beings first. And the fact of always saying that, oh yes, superhero, we're not superhero, because we then become likened to the cartoon characters that we are not human beings. We always on call, and we're not. And I think that's an issue. Sorry?
I think that teachers kind of shot themselves in the foot on this one. You know what I mean? I think that teachers had said, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and buy those pencils for my classroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and buy that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and work that extra instead of going to the administration saying, you got to do something. Because what I've heard from not my school, but other administrators, well, the teachers are doing it. So we've caused our own problems by doing that, but we are teachers and we want to make sure that everything's going to flow. I don't want to wait to the last minute. You know what I mean? And so other teachers are like that, and they're just like, well, it's easier if I just do it myself. Yeah. Well, it's caused problems, and it's caused, you know, certain schools to say, well, you know, those teachers, they're going to do it anyway, so let's just let them.
You know the reason why we are doing it? Educators are control obsessed. I keep on saying that in all the programs.
They are. Yes.
Exactly. And as a result of that, we say, okay, let's just get on with it, right? Because we want to be in control. And if we feel that we're not in control, it seems to throw things all over the place. Hence the reason.
Right. We are control freaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what our job is to control the classroom. Yeah. Our job is to teach the kids, and we are the ones who are the leaders. Yeah. And with leaders, you have control.
Yeah. I like the way you justify that, Lisa.
How I justify it. Because if I was a little wimpy and I couldn't be a leader, what kid's gonna listen to me?
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
They're gonna listen to me because they respect me.
Yeah.
If I go in a classroom and I don't know what 3 + 3 is, do you think those kids are gonna respect me? They're gonna go, he doesn't even know basic math. How could you teach me?
Yeah.
So they are watching. Kids are watching every move you make as a teacher. Yeah. They're looking. And they're going to respect you or they're not.
Yeah, it is true. It is very, very true, because they do look on us, you know, as leaders, etc. And I constantly say to my students, I do not walk with an encyclopedia in my head. If I don't know the answer, we look it up together. And I feel
that is awesome, because, you know, I've made mistakes live. I'm like, why didn't y'all catch that? And, you know, I go back and go, oh, I don't know. My brain's just foggy today. Did y'all see what I just did? That's important that kids can see. And, you know, I have a master's degree, but so what? You know what I mean? I make mistakes, especially with math. Everybody's going to make a mistake.
Exactly.
And sometimes the kids don't feel comfortable telling you, but I try to make sure that they feel comfortable. If I've made a mistake, I want you to call me out. I'm okay with it. Call me out on it, because you're going to learn it wrong.
Yeah.
And I've had kids call me out on it and I was right. And I'll go, well, do you see why? And they're like, oh yeah. So I want them to be brave. I want them to be brave. You have to do it in a nice, respectful way, of course. But hey, tell me why that's the answer, because that just doesn't make sense to me, Ms. And then I explain it, and then I go, oh, I was right on that one, but look at this one. You're right. Oh my goodness, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
I think that's good for them to see that.
Yeah.
Generally, I'm going to catch my own mistakes, because I'm going to be quick at the math, but there have been times when I didn't. Yeah.
It is so important, though, because it also enables students to actually deal with failures. Because I say to my class all the time, I'd rather you give me an answer. It doesn't matter if it is wrong, because my first thing is to enable you to feel confident enough to speak out. So that's my main thing. It doesn't matter what answer you give me. Yes, if you give me the right answer, it's fantastic. But if you think you know the answer and it is a wrong answer, that's okay too. because you need to embrace where you are, because I want you to have the confidence enough so you're able to speak out. Because too often in classes, you find that teachers have not given students, the confidence to speak out. They will only say something if they feel that it is 100% correct. And for me, it's a no. I don't deal with that. As an educator, I feel that you need to speak out, because I want you to also gain confidence in the lesson and the ability to speak out. And I want to empower you to speak. So that's my first and main thing, because too often I've gone into classroom and students wouldn't say anything because the teachers before was very angry when they actually gave a wrong answer. No, give your wrong answers. It doesn't matter. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, I tell the kids, okay, who's brave today? And I'll say it takes bravery, because my class is very interactive. I have them, because they have writing ability, they go on the PowerPoint and they show me how to do the work. So who's going to be brave today? And there are many times that they're wrong. And I say, okay, let's stop for a minute. See, you did that right, but look at that step. Do you see where? And then that's kind of a teaching thing. And they handle it pretty well, but there are some that just won't. And I always tell them, I'm not going to leave you in the forest. Because,
I like that.
And I tell them that because I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to say, okay, let's look at this question. Now here, let me help you with that step, and then I'll help them with that step. Now you go back and see if you can finish it. Because they know that I'm going to walk them through every question that they need. I'm never going to just sit there in silence. I'm going to give them time, but at a point I'm going to say, well, do you need help? Or most of the time they say, oh, I need help on this one. Well, let me show you that next step. And we work step by step by step, because that's how math is. And they, I talk about bravery all the time, because you're the brave one today. You're the one doing it. And it's hard, and they know that. So that's kind of what I talk about bravery all the time.
And it is so important, though, because in the online classroom, I feel even more so than in the physical classroom, because in the physical classroom, you could stand next to them, you could direct them, etc. But the online classroom, you don't have that connection. The connection is on the screen.
Right, but if they're doing it interactively, which I always work with my students interactively. I want to do it. I want to give you an example. Now, who wants to do this one? Show me. And then a lot of kids will say, oh, let me help the other student. I know how to do it. I said, okay, well, you get on, because I can have them writing all at once if I want to. And so they, and then another student will show them. Or sometimes I will have done a question, they're like, can I show you how I would have done it? I'm like, yeah, show me what you would have done. Okay. And I think that with math, our big mistake, I don't know, I can always talk about the United States, but math teachers who say, you must do it my way. Oh, no, we don't. So parents will say, I know I taught them wrong. No, you didn't. You taught them a way to, if you taught them and they're getting that correct, I am good with it. Because it really does not matter. I'm gonna show them how I would do it. And I may show them another way how I've learned through just education. But there's multiple ways in math to find answers. And I want the kids to do it the way they learn in the best.
That's fantastic, though, because as you rightly say, too often you have some educators that feel this is the way. And we need to realize that children are not robots. They will have a variety of ways to resolve a problem. We need to embrace that. And I also feel that this is what the online platform have done to us as educators. Because in the physical classroom, you say, okay, this essay, I want you to present it like this. In the online classroom, students have multiple ways of submitting their work. They have either to produce a short play, to produce a video, a range of ways to do that. And we need to embrace that, because that's important.
And kids are better at that than we are as teachers.
Yes.
They know the videos, because there's so much. I mean, I'll talk to my daughter. I'm like, how'd you know that? She said, because I just saw it on a video on YouTube. So there's so much out there, and they know the different apps and the technology. So making a video is very easy for them.
Yeah, and that we need to embrace, that we need to encourage. We also need to encourage innovative presentation of their work to us. And this is what the online platform have forced us to do, to accept range of ways by which a student present their work, not just through an essay. And and I think that's important, because although we did differentiation, it was not enough, because we missed some students.
Right.
The online platform has showed us that we need to meet students where they're at, and that was important. It was important. Okay, can I have 3 tips or good practice, if that's what you want to call it, in relationship to the online platform?
Oh, wow. 3 tips. Do you mean for
for educators? Let's say an educator is saying to you, okay, I've just had the online platform, in terms of general, what 3 tips could you give me in terms of me actually, I suppose, perfecting? I don't like the word perfecting, because I don't think there's anything called perfection, but me actually making the online platform much better and much more innovative and creative for my students. What 3 tips would you give?
Well, the first tip I would say is you need to, as a new teacher online, you need to look at the other teachers out there. Go out there, go to the Facebook groups with all of the teachers. There are some great videos out there. YouTube is wonderful. And see what they're doing. There's innovative teachers that are so good with the Google Classroom. And that's another thing. If you're using Google Classroom, know it well. Know it well. Know what you're doing. And a real big one is plan. Don't get caught in the middle of something and you don't know what to do. Plan, pre-plan, plan, and know what you have. And a lot of times when I'm planning, I'll have a little note here on the side. I got my little cheat sheet here, y'all, okay? Because a lot of times if I want to work out some questions in a live lesson with kids, I want to be prepared. So preparation is number 1. And get out there and learn. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there in terms of plan, because as educators, you don't want to be caught out halfway through and you don't know what you're going to be doing next.
Yeah, and you need to get with a team of teachers, because that can cut your work a lot. Get teachers, if you're teaching ELA, English, reading, get with the other ones in your grade level. What are they doing? Be more of a team, and that way, because a lot of times we will, as a team, we have 4 8th grade teachers, we split, someone's going to do the PowerPoints. And that takes time. That's time consuming. So you can split that work up.
Yeah, that is so very true, because it means for whatever lesson you're doing, you're not the only one doing the whole preparation.
Right.
Someone is doing this piece, someone is doing the other piece. I mean, as you rightly say, it makes your work so much easier because you are not doing the whole thing.
That's right. And when you get a PowerPoint, you can always add your own slides in. You want one personalized, or you don't like that one question, you want to take it out and put out another one. But that's just, just fixing it, tweaking it a little bit to where it's you. Because this is personal. It is personal to you. And teaching is very personal. And, the kids, the way I teach is going to be different from the way another teacher teaches.
Yeah, that's very true. It is so very, very true. We teach so very, very different, because I teach through music, meditation, etc. Some other teachers just teach through the traditional way that, that they do it in the physical classroom. I do feel that in terms of teaching, we need to be more innovative and creative. It's so important. Are you going back
but let me say, let me say this one thing. The most important thing a teacher can do is have engagement with their students. If you do not have a relationship with your student, you've already failed. I'm just going to tell you, you have got to get their buy-in. You've got to get them on your side because they are going to want to be there with you. If they think you're mean, they're not going to want to be there. But if they think you're nice and that you really care about them, they're going to work 10 times harder for you than the other teacher.
That is so very, very, very true. And from experience, I could say it is so very true. And that is one of the most important things I feel as educators, you need to make sure you have your student engagement. Engagement is one of the most important factors. However, so I say to educators all the time, especially when I do, professional development, you need to look at how you are engaged. Because when you go to a professional development session, you need to see the person who is presenting, are they engaging you? If they're not, you make sure when you go back to your classroom, you need to make damn sure that you engage your student. And you look at how you are teaching and ask yourself, if I was sitting on the other side where my student is sitting, I'm hearing myself teaching, would I enjoy that? So times we need to switch position and see how it works. Because too often when some teachers are teaching, they're just teaching. They're not even reflecting. They're just teaching. Half the time they've lost the student anyway.
Right.
Because they're not reflecting. They're just going on and on and on. By that time, the students already zone out.
Right.
So it is so important as educators, we actually check in to see who engaged with us or who we've lost.
Right. That's why we need to teach 20 or 30 minutes, give them a break, and then they can come back. It's better to teach 2 lessons in a day and don't teach for an hour. Our school is going away from that. We really want to teach no more than 30 minutes at a time.
Look. I agree with you so much because some of my lessons, I have 90 minutes. That's three sessions. The first 30 minutes, we have a break, we do exercise, we go out, we come back. That time the brain is fresh, we have a next lot. We break up again, we do meditation, we sing and dance, we do the next part. I so believe in the maximum 30 minutes. Sometimes I don't even do 30 minutes. Sometimes I do 25 minutes or 20 minutes. You must have a break because the brain does not work longer than that.
That's right.
And it's so important. It is so important because if you're observing your student, you see that they zone out.
Right, and a lot of teachers this fall they're going to try to meet with them 2 hours. I urge them to not.
No, that doesn't work.
Even if you have to put yourself on pause, hey, we're taking a 10-minute break, see you back in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
It's just not wise.
It is not, because you see, when you start reflecting or you ask them to summarize what they've learned, they've only remember the first 10 minutes of the lesson. Right. Everything else is forgotten. So that's the reason why I keep on saying to educators, this is so important when you apply in your lesson, whether or not it is a 90 minutes lesson, it's an hour lesson, it's a 2-hour lesson, you make sure that you have as many breaks as you possibly can. And when you have breaks, you take them out of the environment, get them to do meditation, get them to go outside of the building with you, come back in. You will be surprised to see that 10 minutes that you think that you've lost, you gain so much more when you come back to your classroom because the brain is on fire.
Correct.
It's so very true because I constantly do that with my students. And, after 20 minutes, half an hour, I say, come on, pens down, let's go outside of the building. And it's like they're and eyeing because they're not used to that with other teachers. And when we come back in and we start to say, oh my goodness, miss, I remember so much more now. Yes, that's how the brain works. Yeah, that's how the brain works. And we need to be very mindful of that.
Yes.
Because the more you push into that brain, the less you get out because they're not taking it in. They're already somewhere else. So are you going to go back to the physical classroom?
No.
Okay.
The school I work at, we are online always, so no.
Okay.
And I cannot imagine going back to the physical classroom. That part of my career is over. That's not what I do anymore, so I'm just not interested in that. So that would be a no.
Wow. Okay, so what is so brilliant about the online classroom?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a morning person.
All right.
So, a lot of things, the drive, going to school for 30 minutes, coming back, discipline has a lot to do with it. I really just didn't want to deal with that, as much. It's to be a disciplinarian, it's exhausting.
It is true. It is true.
I mean, these kids are puberty, pre-puberty and puberty kids, 12 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
And they got some mouths on them. So, they can,
yeah,
they can be tough. But it's not just that. I feel that I love the engagement that the kids want to be there. I'm at a school where the kids want to be there and the parents want to be there. And we're getting them so ready for college. They are college ready and they're going to do so well. But there is a niche for face-to-face. It's just that's not for me now. I love the online. But I mean, we have field trips. I physically see the kids sometimes. We have field trips. We have state testing that they physically come to.
Okay.
So we do still see them a little bit. Like in the spring, we see them, and if they ever go to any of the field trips. But all of that right now is up in the air. The field trips are up in the air, so I don't really know. That's probably not going to happen. But eventually it might come back. But and we have a lot of clubs at our school, like a robotics club, so the kids can get into clubs, online clubs, and do those kind of activities. Whether it's a Spanish club, an art club, whatever. So if they want that extra time to kind of enjoy what they like, they can do those also.
Okay. Thank you. Would you recommend online teaching and learning?
100%. My life has changed because of it. I think I'm a better teacher than I was.
Why? How?
I don't really feel any stress anymore. As a teacher, I always felt stress, and I don't feel that way. It's such a good atmosphere. The teachers, the administration, the directors, they're all thankful that we're there. And to be honest with you, everyone wants our jobs, okay? Yeah. We're a school that I want your job, Lisa. And it's hard to get my job. You gotta, they get to pick who they want. Yeah. So, there aren't any bad teachers or any lazy teachers in my school. I've never seen that. Because they want to be there. And so the administration wants them there. And we can leave anytime we want to.
Okay. That's interesting in terms of, the stress level and the self-care.
Yeah, no stress. And we have, our schools are in many of the states here in the United States. We have, 35 or 40 different states. So the majority of the states have schools. I'm in the Texas one, which I believe is the largest school in the nation, as in the other, because we have almost 8,000 students. We're big. Where some schools like Oklahoma maybe a little bit smaller, and Tennessee and those kinds of things.
Okay.
We're pretty big.
Right.
But Texas is a big state. Texas is huge. There's a lot of population.
Okay. Do you think days where education is heading on the online platform?
I've said for the last few years, I've said in 10 years, there will not be a brick and mortar school. Although I think I've changed my mind. Pandemic, I don't think parents are ready for it, where I thought they were. The parents I work with are ready for it. Yeah. But I think eventually schools will be online. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's after online? You know, I mean, I was in high school in the 80s, so let's think about all of the processes that have happened. The 8-track players, the cassettes, the DVD, you know, all of that. Yeah. We can go somewhere. I just don't know where it could be, technology though. Yeah. Like what's better than what we have? There must be something. Yeah, I see that. But I see what could be after online. I don't know. But I think there's a big push for online schools. Like mine, they have a lot more enrollment this year than they have in the past. So I think that you're going to see more and more. And many cities here are choosing. Parents are choosing. 50% of them are choosing for their child to stay online all year. Yeah. So there's about 50% of the students who are supposedly going to go to brick and mortar. But I suspect some of them will go to brick and mortar and they're going, no, I don't think so. I think we are going to do online. We're going to figure it out. We're going to do online. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah, because right now it would be safer to encourage the online platform. Right. You know, in light of, you know, what's happening, you know, the fact that the virus is still. But there are a lot of parents that just are like, no, it's not going to work. They're just not convinced. So I think it's going to take some time. We can't do this in a year. No, that's true. That's very true. So once we get a year under our belt, that the parents talk, the online parents talk to the brick and mortar parents and go, it really worked well for my son. So, you know, when friends start talking, because my husband works at a factory, and I want to tell you what's going on there. They're talking about online schools in the school system. So he comes home and tells me, you know, hey, you know, because they'll ask him questions because they know I'm an online teacher. Yeah. And so in all the offices out there, they're all talking about school. This is a big buzzing thing going on, you know, in America and internationally. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Everyone's talking about it because they don't really know what to do. Parents don't really know what the best situation is. So they're going to have to try one and see if it works for them. Yeah. And then if not, they're going to have to switch. Yeah. But it's their decision. Yeah, because some schools are having a hybrid system, you know, online as well as in the physical building. You know, so it's interesting to see how well both of them are working, because I do feel that you cannot expect an educator to be doing in the physical classroom at the same time doing on the online classroom. It's not going to work. Right. And there's a few, especially in the rural area, the real small areas, they're wanting them to do that. But most schools are doing either you're an online teacher or you're a physical teacher. Okay, makes sense. That's how most of them are doing it. That makes sense. You know, because I've spoken to two educators who saying that, you know, they'll be teaching in the physical classroom as well as teaching on the online platform. So wherefore, when the teaching is going straight to the, you know, the online platform, nah. Yeah, I think a few districts, smaller districts, are going to try that, but it's just not going to work for them, I don't think. No. It's a matter of wait and see. But, thank you. Exactly. Thank you very much. Have you got anything else you want to say about the online platform and COVID-19? No, I'm good. Okay. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope that, hey, maybe some teachers are watching this, and hopefully this helps them.
Yes, it definitely will. Thank you, everybody, for listening to yet another online discussion regarding teaching online and some of the beautiful things, some of the triumph of teaching online. I know a lot of us have had a lot of challenges, but you need to remember behind every challenge, there also triumph as well. You just have to look and be honest with yourself and ask yourself, what do you like about it, instead of just having the whole negative about what didn't work. Because I'm sure there have been a lot of things that's worked. You know, for me, there have been a lot of things that work. Also, there have been a lot of things that didn't work. But at the same time, what didn't work is you need to actually make sure you try to perfect it or get it, make it better, because it does work. An online platform, we need to start embracing it, because it is something that's going to be here for a while with us. Because as I said, every other industry have moved electronically except education. So educators out there, please embrace the online platform and see how you can actually be friends with it and make it work for you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Can you share, like, and comment? It is very important that we put education back in a positive light, because right now people are just bashing educators, and it is not fair, because we have been doing and we are doing a very good job. Remember, we are educating the future doctors, lawyers, etc. So you need to start embracing us. Thanks a lot, everybody. Good evening, good night, good morning. Have a fantastic time. Stay blessed, and I'll see you guys